Maya checked her credit card statement and felt her stomach drop. $8,000 in 3 weeks. And when she scrolled through the purchases, a $600 jacket she's worn once, a last-minute flight she almost canceled, a candle subscription she forgot she signed up for twice, she couldn't point to a single thing she actually needed. She wasn't broke before this. She is now. And the scariest part? She can't even tell you why she did it. Turns out, there's a name for what happened to Maya. And once you understand it, you'll probably recognize it in yourself. It's called doom spending. And here's the first thing worth knowing before we go any further. This isn't a discipline problem, and it's not proof you're bad with money. Researchers actually track this. Something like 1 in 5 people do it regularly. If this sounds familiar, you're not an outlier. You're a data point. It's what happens when your brain decides that if the future feels out of control, the one thing it can control is what happens right now. So it spends. Not because you want the thing, because buying it for about 4 seconds makes the anxiety go quiet. For Maya, it started the week her company announced layoffs in another department. Not hers. She wasn't even at risk, but the announcement was enough. That night, she bought the jacket. 2 days later, the flight. She wasn't tracking a budget anymore. She was tracking a feeling and trying to make it stop. That's the part that makes doom spending different from a regular bad purchase. It's not, I wanted this. It's, I needed to feel something other than scared, and this was the fastest way to get there. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when this hits. Bad news, a layoff headline, a scary price increase, a friend venting about the economy, gets processed by the same part of your brain that used to watch for predators. It doesn't know the difference between there's a wolf outside and there might be a recession. Both trigger the same alarm. Both flood you with stress hormones. And both make your brain go looking for anything that restores a sense of control. A purchase does that, instantly. You click buy, and for a few seconds, you're not a person watching the news feeling powerless, you're a person who just did something. That relief is real. It's just incredibly short. The dopamine hit fades in hours. The balance on your card doesn't. One thing worth separating out. This isn't the same as treating yourself after a hard week. Comfort spending says, I deserve this. Doom spending says, I need this to feel okay again. They can look identical from the outside, same store, same receipt, but the feeling driving them is completely different. A quick way to tell them apart. Ask what happened right before the urge hit. If you can point to something stressful in the last few hours, a headline, a notification, a hard conversation, that's usually doom spending. If there's no clear trigger and you just feel like celebrating or resting, that's probably just treating yourself, which is a perfectly fine thing to do on purpose. Doom spending is the one that catches you off guard. And it's not just Maya. Financial therapists have reported a sharp jump in clients specifically bringing up anxiety-driven spending over the past year. It's become common enough that researchers gave it a name, tracked it, and confirmed the same loop over and over. Anxious news, spend within 24 to 48 hours, guilt after. Here's the part nobody posts about. People who doom spend regularly don't end up happier. They end up carrying meaningfully more debt than people who don't, with no real bump in how satisfied they feel with their lives. That's the trap. It doesn't even work. It just feels like it's working for about a day. For Maya, the real cost wasn't the $8,000. It was what came after. The utilization on her card spiked. Her score dropped. And now, on top of the original anxiety that started this whole thing, she's got a second, more concrete anxiety, an actual bill she has to pay for things she didn't even want. That's the cruelest part of doom spending. You're trying to escape a feeling of financial instability, and the coping mechanism creates real financial instability. You spend to feel less scared about the future, and the spending is what makes the future scarier. So what actually works? Not just don't do it. Willpower isn't the problem. The nervous system is. Telling an anxious brain to ignore the anxiety doesn't turn the alarm off. What works is giving that same brain a smaller, safer way to feel in control. One that doesn't cost you $600. A few things that actually interrupt the loop. The 24-hour rule. Not as a punishment, as a pattern break. If a purchase shows up right after something stressful happened, wait a day before buying it. Most doom spends don't survive 24 hours once the initial spike passes. Name it out loud. Literally say, "I think I'm doom spending right now," before you check out. That one sentence moves the decision from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex, from reacting to actually choosing. Give the anxiety somewhere else to go. A 5-minute walk, texting one person, even just closing the tab and doing one small, controllable task, making your bed, answering one email. The goal isn't to suppress the feeling. It's to give your brain the sense of control it's actually looking for, without the receipt. Here's what that actually looks like in practice. Jordan, 34, got laid off 2 years ago. Different job, different company, but still feels that old alarm go off whenever restructuring comes up at work now. Last month, a manager mentioned some changes coming in a team meeting, and by the walk back to the desk, 3 tabs were already open. Sneakers, a flight to nowhere in particular, a subscription that wasn't needed. Old Jordan would have bought all 3 by dinner. This time, cart loaded, Jordan said it out loud. Actually said, "I think I'm about to doom spend," and closed the laptop instead. The urge didn't disappear. It took about 10 minutes to fade. But that one sentence was enough of a pause to ask the real question. Do I want this, or am I just trying to feel less scared? The tabs stayed closed. The $400 stayed in the account. Maya's version of this now is boring on purpose. When she feels that spiral start, she opens her banking app and just looks at her actual numbers. Not to spend, just to look. It turns out seeing the real picture, even when it's not amazing, calms the anxiety faster than avoiding it ever did. Like I said earlier, this isn't a character flaw. It's your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do, looking for control in a moment that feels out of control. It's just using the wrong tool. The people who get out of this loop aren't the ones with more willpower. They're the ones who noticed the pattern and gave their brain a cheaper way to feel steady. If you've ever opened a statement and thought, "I don't even know why I bought that," that wasn't a spending problem. That was a nervous system problem wearing a shopping bag. If this is the kind of thing you want more of, the actual psychology behind why smart people make the money choices they make, that's exactly what this channel is. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.